Welcome back, everyone. Christine here from Sapphire. So glad to see your smiling faces. So yesterday I went out on a hike. I know it's still not spring yet, but it was 50 degrees. Everything was still kind of yucky and bland looking. So I figured, why not, after reading some comments, let's go over some colors, how to dye, and most importantly, how the colors play together. All right, guys, let's talk some dyes and colors. So for this purpose, I'm just going to use a paper towel. Paper towel, piece of wool that you're going to be dyeing. You don't need to waste the whole thing. It's an easy way to get started and also figure out your dyes. Now what we're going to talk about is I use ProChem's dyes for my wool. And I know it's probably kind of small in here, but all of these colors have a percentage with OWG. And you're thinking to yourself, Christine, what does OWG mean? OWG means on weight of goods. So say if you were buying a prepackaged dye, say from your local craft shop, it would tell you about how many pounds or ounces it would dye. So knowing the OWG, like last week's video, I turned a lime green into an almost Tiffany blue by knowing my OWG. And some of them are more or less. So play with it, have fun with it. Like I said, ruin a paper towel. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna dye a paper towel today. Again, with dyeing, this is my colorways. This is how I recreated everything. And how did I measure? Measured with an old baby spoon, you know? And a kitchen scale sometimes, or just by eyeballing it. Or, as with one of my favorite colorways that everyone liked, was Tsunami. And that blue actually was a made blue. So every time I would dye that, I had a piece and I would make sure. So when I recreated that color out of that certain dye that I used, it would be the same and consistent. So always write your stuff down if you want to be consistent. All right. So let's see. Again, I'm not wearing gloves today for this purpose, but let's just take one of these dyes. And I don't want to waste a lot. Just a little sprinkling there. Now, of course, I didn't add any vinegar as a mordant to this. And I'm going to use a little spray bottle and wet this down a little bit. And use my spoon. Now, would you believe that those specks on this, and guess what that was? Key lime. Highly concentrated, certain dyes are going to take on different colors, and that's why it's important to learn your weight of goods. And that's why some people have said in the past they've made mud. Let's find another color. And again, let's look at the color wheel. Now I know blue dyes are very expensive, and they take a lot less OWG in order to dye something. And you see that comes out just with a few specks. Now what happens is, if you know your color wheel, yellow and blue make green. So if I was doing something like this on a skein of yarn, I would know my in-between color, anything that ran together would become green. Now, based off how bright that green would be is how pungent the beginning colors started. Again, it's trial and error just to play with it and get you better understand the color wheel and the in-between colors and complementary colors that each of them is going to make. Let's take a look at something else. Oh, this color is always fun, and I always was multiple colors dyeing this one. I'm going to get that close to that one. And as you can tell by the paper towels still wet, this is a pretty wicked one, guys. Again, it doesn't take that much to dye something with this color. And see how it spreads with just those few? And that is a very hot pink, if you can tell. And it's also a pain trying to wash it out. Any extra dye out of something, I will tell you that from personal experience. So what if I would, not that color, I'm going to find a color. Believe it or not, I used to be able just to reach into my thing and just find it, but it's been quite some time. So I'm a little rusty on that. Now that, believe it or not, is olive drab, or what I like to call OD green because I drive a Jeep. And look at that. It doesn't look like it until after the fact that you rinse and set it in. As always, people, dyes can be deceiving. You can end up making mud. You know, it looks brown when it's supposed to be green. So you, like again, I always tell everyone now to play with it, get used to it. Now, something I've seen done before, let's move over here. I know why I can't find anything because this is flipped. Ha, found it. Oh, Gus. I'm not paying attention to Gus. He's like, she's in there talking to herself. She's a little bit goofy today and not talking to me. All right, so boysenberry is just that. But it also can get brown and muddy because of the base that's in that dye. So by putting it with a little yellow, you're not going to make a pretty orange. And that's what I'm trying to show you. It's going to be an off muddy type of orange. It's like I said, it's not going to be pretty. And sometimes you have to, yeah, if you can tell, it's more of a brownish burnt orange or an ochre color. So you wouldn't want to put something like that together unless you're looking for an ochre color or a nice autumn colorway or anything like that. But knowing your OWGs will give you a better understanding on how much dye that it takes per your weight, mixing it up correctly. And with hand painting yarns, that's an essential thing to know. And so that way here you don't make muddy colors. And I know out on the internet, I think I've done a video about the color wheel before, and I was using an RGB thing, and Gus is coming in to inspect what I'm doing here. But knowing what the base is, that would be helpful, so that way here you don't make something that you don't want to create. Yes, knowing that yellow and blue make green, red and yellow make orange, but yet it varies differently because all your dyes, like I said, have an OWG, and knowing that will help you in the long run to create the colors that you want. All right, guys, I guess I'm gonna have to take care of Gus now. I hope you learned something and have a little bit more knowledge on how an OWG, which is on weight of goods, just like if you would buy a box of dye, it goes by pounds. So all your dyes go by an OWG, or weight of goods. So in order for you to get the most out of your dyes, and if you want that brightness, you have to use that percentage of weight per goods to get that brightness of dyes. And that's why in my cotton dyeing, you saw that I turned a lime green into almost a Tiffany blue green. So it can be done just by tweaking. So please, as always, leave some comments in the comments below. Give me some suggestions on what you would like to see. And always, please, like, subscribe, hit the bell to be notified for when I post a new video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace. What do you think about that? And then what? We need an outro? Okay. Or are these going to be bloopers?